All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Welcome, welcome. My name is Christy Mahon. I own Dream Vacations Escape Artist Holidays, and I am excited about tonight's destination du jour, right? We are going to France. I'm so excited. And I am joined by Claude Girard of Azamara Cruises.
Hello there, bonjour.
We are doing these ongoing events every week. We've been doing them for months and months and months and months and months now. Our We Will Travel Again events. Some of you have been here many times. Some of you are new to our weekly call. Every week, I feature a different destination. I am often joined by a colleague who features a different cruise line or tour company, resorts, and we feature a destination that they do exceptionally well. And tonight is no exception to that. So like I said, we are joined tonight by Claude. He's of Azamara Cruises. So he'll be telling us a bit about that cruise line. If you've not heard of them, don't be shy. That's totally understandable. They're a small boutique company, and it's a very, very different way to think about cruising. So you're going to learn a bit about that. It's more like, what's the best way to describe it? Like in a sentence, you know, that kind of.
It's a full immersion destination cruise on
Immersion.
a small
I love
ship.
that is absolutely right. Immersion. And they do these great import overnights and late stays and these wonderful, unique excursions. So you'll hear a lot about that. But mostly I am so pleased because Claude is going to dazzle you, not just with his fabulous accent, but with all the wonderful things he's going to share with us about France.
Yes.
No pressure.
No. It's going to be fun.
So why don't you go ahead and share your screen? And while you're doing that, I'm going to remind everyone that you can enter questions or comments in the chat box, and we'll be sure to get to those as we move along. And please stay tuned till the end of our show, where we'll talk about some incentives to perhaps book a vacation, even if you're not ready to book it for any time soon. We'll talk about the benefits of working with a travel agent and kind of wrap up the show with some other juicy details. So for that, I would like to let Claude take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. It's the second time we work together, you and I really, really enjoy your professionalism. You're so organized. Not that travel agents are not organized in general, but you are better than most of them. So that's my 2 cents of promoting you, and it's a pleasure working with you. So I am Claude Girard with Azamara Cruises, and I'm going to talk to you about France tonight. And I'm not going to bore you. I guarantee you, it's going to be highly entertaining. Before I go into the itineraries and France in itself, just a few words about Azamara Cruises, which Christy knows us very well. We have 3 ships, and we like to say we are the perfect size. It's what we call a mid-size ship. In other words, 700 people. We're not talking about 3,000 or 4,000. It's 700 people with a crew of 400 people. So your crew passenger ratio is extremely high, which is why we do what we do best. We have excellent service, and our DNA basically is to take you all to smaller seaports on all 7 continents where bigger ships really cannot go. And France is not the exception. It's smaller seaports, and the beauty of the ship size is that we take you right into port. You will go next to the Sydney Opera right into port. You'll go into Barcelona. You will be taken into Monte Carlo right at the seaport. The big ships cannot do that. Or they go a little further and you're being bussed for 10, 15, 20 miles. I'm not exaggerating. Because of our size, we take you right to the port. You get off the ship, you do your tour, your shore excursions. What makes us different, real quickly, is 2 things. We want you guys to have the best time and the best exploration of the port and the region. So we do it 2 ways to accommodate this really well. We have the longer stay in ports of any cruise line. If you go to the Med in the summer, Mediterranean, our ship will stay in port sometimes until 10 p.m. which is really, really unlikely of any other cruise line, which means you spend your day discovering the region, and you spend the night having tapas in Spain or red wine in France or whatever, and mingle with the local into late at night if you choose to. So the longer stay in port and the highest number of overnights. In St. Petersburg, there's so much to do. We stay 3 nights. Rio de Janeiro, 2 nights. Barcelona, 2 nights. And you do whatever you want. Some people just take off. They plan a land excursion through Christy, Mahon, and they just take off and discover the region. So these are the 2 things we do better than anybody else. Longer stay in port and highest number of overnight. I won't go into more details because you have Christy to tell you about Azamara. Let's go to France right now, the country where I was born. Yes, I'm from Western France, okay? And these are the 14 ports. I believe it's 13. I have this bar on top of my screen and I can't even see what I wrote. Oh, here we go. So these are all the ports where we go to in France. We do not do a voyage going to all these ports at once. We usually do Western France, which is on the left side of your screen, and we do the French Riviera on the right side of your screen. So let's start. Why does France love Azamara? Our audience is not a sophisticated, well, I should say sophisticated and educated people who do want to discover more than the cruising experience, but get in depth discovering the country. So France loves Azamara because we bring to the country these sophisticated and curious-minded people, and then they come back home and they tell about their experience, and more people go to France. Azamara loves France because you know what? We excel and we do really well on taking you guys to smaller seaports along the coastline, and France coastline is not bad at all. The Bordeaux area, the Normandy, the south of France. So France has the perfect DNA for Azamara. We do know France very well because we've been going there since day one, which, by the way, 17 years ago that we launched Azamara. So the crew who has been with us for years and years and years, they know the little seaport, they know the process, it goes fast. So all of that makes a beautiful love story, Azamara and France. Let's start. We're going to start by northern France. Northwestern France with Normandy. And you know what? It's one of the most well-known regions of France. People think of France as Bordeaux, Provence, and Normandy, Paris, of course, but I'm talking about the coastline. There is something for tout le monde, for everybody. Okay, we're starting on the left here. History buff, of course, you have the incredible sacrifice of the US at the American cemetery. It will bring tears to your eyes, but it's just not that. You can learn about William le Conquérant and the 100 Years of War, or Joan of Arc in the nearby town of Rouen. This is for the history buff. The foodies, of course, you cannot go to France without having interest in food and drinking. Did you know that Camembert originally comes from Normandy? So don't compromise on Camembert and don't buy any other Camembert but the one from Normandy. Camembert cheeses, you can visit many factories. They will let you in. You can visit factories of Calvados. Calvados is the liquor from Normandy by definition, and it's an apple liquor, and you find it in everything. Wow. In apple tart, in vanilla ice cream with Calvados, in popsicle with Calvados. You find it everywhere.
That sounds like an excellent thing to put in everything.
No, it's like, you know what? It's like Cointreau a little bit, but it's very, very strong. It's extremely strong. So no popsicle, or if you do popsicle, it's for adults only.
Only.
I would advise you go and visit the Chateau de Bruay. They will take you deep into the castle to see the oldest Calvados cellar from the 16th century. They will open their door to you for a Calvados testing. Whatever whatever liquor, wine, and champagne testing you do in France, do not drive. Hire a driver. Christy will set it up for you.
Yes, I will.
Christy does everything for you. Okay. The sports fan. Normandy is known for its horses. So there's many horse farms and beautiful horses from all over France and Germany that come there for how do you say, a contest and all kind of things. So the horses are known in Normandy. Let's keep talking about Normandy. There's still something for tout le monde. You know what? We're back to the horses here on the left side. Experience the rush of taking a horse rein by a salty driving on the beach. You see them everywhere, and it's so much fun. It goes so fast. Hold on to your horses, literally. You can explore. You can explore Utah Beach as an American soldier, because you know what, they organize there a ride in an authentic Sherman tank, and even better, you can fly over the beach with a replica World War I biplane. This is quite something actually to do on the side. So when it comes to art and architecture lover, of course, it's France. There's castles everywhere. There's beautiful garden. A couple of castles I recommend for you to go to. By the way, these places that I recommend, they are not on Azamara website. They're just my own personal experience and where you should go that's a little bit off the beaten path. You have the Chateau de Bressy and Balleroy. That's a really beautiful castle. The picture is above. The gardens are superb. And being that we do a lot of France in April, May, and June, it's the perfect time of the year to do that. You, of course, may know about the Bayeux Museum and the tapestry. Bayeux is technically the capital of Normandy, and it's got like 11th century tapestries that were covering potato fields during the winter, during the war, and someone found these tapestries and they looked at it and realized, wow, these are the famous tapestries de Bayeux. They're covering potato field. No, we have to restore them and put them in the museum. Not far from there is, of course, Claude Monet's garden in Giverny. That's a great place to go. There's something for even fashion people. Did you know, for example, that Coco Chanel started her career in that area where she just, stood on the beach somehow and said, look at these ladies. They are wearing these horrendous bathing suits.
Yeah.
We can't blame them, right? And we have to change that. She was, a wonderful feminist person.
Yes.
And we like that, and she changed it, and it took a little while, and it went from below the knees to above the knee, and less of the hat and the this and the that. But it's interesting to know that this is how she started her career, really. She had a vision to free women. We like that.
Yes, we do.
So from Normandy, we are going gradually down to a beautiful part of France. Of course it is, because that's where I'm from. And it's the western coast of France called Brittany, La Bretagne. And La Bretagne is known for many ways, many things. I'm not going to take you through everything, but I always tell people, go to Brittany to understand France. It's not Provence and its flashy, look. It's not Bordeaux and the wealth of Bordeaux because of the wine being bought and being produced. There's a lot of wealth, and wealth is good, but sometimes it brings a little bit of, it takes away, the authenticity of the land. Yes. And Brittany has not been touched. Let's be honest, the weather can be very British. It can be overcast in the summer for 3 weeks at a time. And it's very romantic and all, but when French people take their 6 weeks vacation at a time and half of it is under gray sky, oh la la, it's a scandal, because they like to complain, of course. So Brittany is the way to go. You can see at the bottom the famous Mont Saint-Michel. the famous monastery. It took, I believe, 500 years or 600 years to complete it. I went there several times. I could see the needle of the monastery from the bedroom when I went to my grandmother's home on the coast of Brittany when I was a child. So you have to take the walk, all 900 steps, all the way to the top of the monastery. So make sure you work out before you go to Brittany.
That's right. Good shoes.
Comfortable, and the view that you'll have from the top of this, you'll see the entire bay, which is really facing obviously land. And on the other side, the channel, you do not see England on the other side, but you are facing the channel that takes you there.
It's on my list, Claude. I have to go there someday soon.
It's a wonder of the world, huh?
It is. It is.
So now you have to take a trip back to the 19th century and stroll around the sophisticated Dinard. Before the French Riviera was really, really happening, this is where everybody went. You had to go to Dinard, you had to go to Normandy, Brittany, the northern France was the place to go. Now it's the French Riviera and the Atlantic Ocean, but Dinard was the way back then. Interestingly enough, some of the best golf courses in France are in Dinard. It has stayed a little bit authentic. Parisian used to come in and buy home. There's kind of a new wave there and a new type of people coming in because the president, Bernard Arnault of Louis Vuitton, has a home there. And so did Jacques Ellul, a designer of Chanel. So again, not to be condescending, but some of these people living in a small town bring in their Parisian friends, and it becomes a little different. But Dinard is very authentic and staying the same way. We love Dinard. More of Brittany, of course, Cancale, the oyster kingdom. You have to go to Cancale, and one of the reasons is that you go there early in the morning. Yes, you'll have to have oysters for breakfast. This is what I was subjected to when I was a child, and I couldn't stand it. You go to the wall of the seaport, Cancale, and you see fishermen coming in with crates of freshly caught oysters, and you go to them. Okay, you have a plate or you have a bowl, and they dump their oysters and you pay them. You bring your own lemon and you literally sit on the wall all along with your oyster opener, and you have this. You can't get them more fresh than that. And this is what you do. You can do it at 6 a.m., you do it at 10 a.m. Then by late morning, the fishermen who have been up since 3 a.m. are going back home. So you may have to have oysters for breakfast. You know what? Right after you're done, have an espresso and coffee. You won't feel the taste of the oysters anymore. So talking of food, you take a helicopter from Bayeux, which we reviewed in the previous slide, okay? And you go to the Chateau Richer overlooking the Mont Saint-Michel. Amazing, amazing view. It's a beautiful castle. And of course, all of this, has opened up your appetite. So my favorite restaurant there of all time, which you are looking at on the bottom right, is Le Coquillage, which means, Christy, help me. Le Coquillage is a seashell, the seashell. And so it's owned by a chef, Olivier Rollinger. And he basically left his place in Paris. He was a Michelin star. And he said, I really, really want to devote myself to seafood, food only. And that's what he's done for many, many years. And again, it's got this beautiful view. It's right there on the water. And it's part of a Brittany experience.
It looks like such a wonderful place, such an authentic place. On top of the fact that he's this Michelin.
Yeah, Christy, as I said before, Brittany has stayed very authentic. I think it's one of the most authentic places of France. Saint-Malo is where I was born, and it is a fortress city. It's endured centuries and centuries of war. The Viking, the British, Ireland, and we stood strong. But Saint-Malo has to be seen. All of this is in the same area. You do Dinard, you Mont Saint-Michel, you do Saint-Malo. It's all on the same coastline. And Brittany is fairly small. Brittany is known, other than its cider. Calvados is Normandy. Brittany cider. This is not sweet cider. I do not recommend you give it to children. I believe it's a cider with 5% alcohol. And when we were children at a special occasion, we did get a little shot of cider. I was 8, 9 years old, and I felt it right away. And they wanted to keep us quiet, probably.
Yes, probably.
So this is the land of cider and the crepe. Crepe from Brittany. People eat them for breakfast, lunch, dinner. They put butter and Nutella. They put seafood in it. They put whatever they can. And the best crepe in Brittany is La Crêperie des Ambassadeurs, which is the picture you have there on your right side. It is literally on the beach. You find a table by the window. We'll get you a table by the window, Christy.
Yes.
And you must have the crepe with crab meat and sea scallop.
Look at
all
that.
Coke, and you will die. You
Happily.
will die
Happily.
of pleasure. So after that, because you've eaten so much, bottom right, this is great. The land yacht with a local instructor. Let me tell you, you go so fast, you are scared. You wear a helmet and everything, and land yachting on the Brittany beaches, because it's the northern coast of France, it's very windy, is a lot of fun. I think this is enough of Brittany. I could go on and on, for a long time. No, this isn't it for Brittany. Capital. Well, the capital is Rennes, but this is our second largest city of Brittany, Brest, which is a seaport, medieval tower and castle, and it's got a military seaport because Brittany is at the furthest west part of France. So if invaders were to come, we have to have military, it has to be a military port. But that doesn't mean it's not an attractive city, because it's very, very old. You can enjoy the seafront cafe, do a little bit of shopping, fishing boats, naval vessel, it's all there. This is a typical Brittany home that you see at the bottom with the blue shutters. And interestingly enough, you find more or less the same look in Provence as well. But of course, it started in Brittany. People in Provence just copied us. So listen, something different to do that you will not find in most travel guide. You have to take a ferry, okay, from Brest and go to l'Île d'Ouessant. It's also known as the island at the end of the world. It's the furthest place in France. You can see from the map on your top right, okay, it's the furthest place in the ocean. After that, you cross and you come to America. This island is nearly deserted. There's some people living there, but not that many. Some of the oldest lighthouses, it's a very rocky and dangerous coastline. Some of the oldest lighthouses, like the one on the right, La Jument, I've been there since, gosh, the late 19th century. They've shot movies there, and then what you have to do on this nearly deserted island, not quite, but very few people live there, is do horseback riding. What's interesting about this place is it's nearly a microclimate. So it's kind of the same weather year round. It's not cold, it's not warm, it's what we call a microclimate. It never snows. It never very snows on Île d'Ouessant, a very, very special place here in Brittany. Now we are leaving Brittany and we're going down to Nantes. Nantes is a great town. Well, that's easy to say. Why? Why is it a great town? It was found by Anne de Bretagne for creating and naming the Brittany region. Okay, she founded Nantes, which is a seaport, obviously, because we go there. It's got a beautiful, beautiful cathedral, but half of it burned this past July. So don't bother going to the cathedral anymore. Instead, you have to go to Anne de Bretagne's castle. As I said earlier, she's the person who created that old Western part of France. And you have to go there to understand the history of the region, the Brittany kings and queens that fought with England for centuries. But again, who doesn't fight with England? Oh, no, I'm sorry. We love English people. They buy homes in Brittany and we just adore them. Most importantly, in my opinion, is visiting the factory of the Petit Lou cookie. It's the picture on the left side. I'm sure you've all been into a supermarket somewhere and you've seen these cookies.
Yes.
Les Petits Lou, which stand for Lefebvre, Monsieur Lefebvre, and Mademoiselle Utile. That's how the LU came about. Not to mention, my mother worked there when she was 16 years old.
Well, now we have to go.
And she brought cookies a go every Friday. And she said, make it last for the weekend. And of course, 3 hours later, they were all gone.
All gone.
Some great wine in the Nantes area, Muscadet, which, you know what, I'm having a hard time finding in America. Sancerre, you find anywhere. But Muscadet is hard to find. But it's a very, unknown local wine. So you must have Muscadet when you go to Nantes. You can go to many wineries that open their doors. You'll open your wallet and you'll have your chauffeur with you, okay? We understand that? No driving and drinking.
Right.
Aha, now we go way south of Nantes, the capital along the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. Everybody knows of Bordeaux. Bordeaux is like a small Paris. The architecture, as you can see,
yes,
one would think this is the center of Paris. This is not the center of Paris. This is Bordeaux. Same architecture, a very, very wealthy town. For centuries, the kings used to come to go there. This was their Atlantic Ocean vacation spot. And so Bordeaux is an extremely beautiful place. And then, of course, the whole wine thing started early 20th century. And of course, it made Bordeaux the place to grow the best wine. And again, in that part of France, there's something for everyone. You can be on a budget, you can be, there's so much to do. You drive a car and you go through the whole wine region and everything. Personally, I've been there a couple of times. I think the architecture is stunning. A little gilded, like Versailles, but beautiful to look at. So here's what you have to do in Bordeaux. Because you know what? Let's be honest. All these wineries can be very, very not intimidating, but you can get confused. It's like, what do I do? Where do I go?
Overwhelming, right?
Yeah, overwhelming, absolutely. So what I tell people is you take the Route des Châteaux. Route des Châteaux, the road of the castle, okay? It starts in Saint-Emilion, and this is basically a piece of the stretch that you cannot miss, that summarizes everything. It's got the highest concentration of chateaux and big wine, but also smaller wine. You've got your Petrus, your Margaux, your Haut-Médoc, your Pomerol, and the list goes on. I personally don't like that. I want to take you to a smaller chateau that has beautiful, beautiful wine, and it's the Chateau Trollon-Mondo. You can have private parties at the chateau. It's on the right side. You can spend, I don't know how much, Christy will do all the other legwork. Right? It's not my job to go through the details, but you can rent the place for a weekend of wine, an Epicurean experience. So if one of you, ladies and gentlemen, turns 40, 50, whatever, you tell Christy, we're going there. Claude said to rent the chateau for the weekend and have a lot of wine from Chateau Trollon-Mondo.
That is an excellent idea. I like this idea. It's an excellent milestone event to celebrate with, right? A big retirement or a big anniversary, a big birthday. This is the occasion for this kind of place.
I think you will need a French guide.
I know a man.
Now, sometimes you don't have all the time in the world to do and to drive and go through all these chateaus and everything. So it is fairly new, not a year old, a couple of years, but the bottom right shows you these very modern figures, architecture. It looks like a Santiago Calatrava, but I don't know who the architect is, and it's called La Cité du Vin. And you can spend hours there and you learn everything about wine, but not just French wine. When did wine start? Who created the first wine? Is this South America? Is this the Egyptian? Is it the Greek? Is it? And you learn so much, and you have smell and taste, and it's an amazing, quite large dwelling, and it's called La Cité du Vin, and you can spend hours and hours and hours. You definitely don't have to drive. It's like a wine museum, but very, very interactive, not just looking at bottles, obviously.
Right.
They have lectures, it's a wonderful place, really. Now, we are going south and going into a typical little French Spaniard seaport, I must say. It's nearly on the Spanish border, and it's close to La Côte Vermeille, and it's called Port Vendres. Okay, and it's known, of course, for its fish and seafood restaurants. It's a smaller seaport. To be honest, there is not much to do there, but one thing you have to do, in my opinion, is go to the fish market every morning. You get up early when all the fishermen are coming and pouring out their catch of the day, and you will hear a Southern French accent. Okay, you will think, what language are they speaking? Brush up on your French. It is so much fun. You see the restaurateur with a fisherman and people who can go like you and I to buy their fish, and everybody is talking loud and drinking coffee and holding a fish by the tail. And in my opinion, this is what you do there. You go to the fish market every morning in Port Vendres. And I wrote at the bottom, it's a huge challenge to understand their French. Bonne chance.
Good luck.
Now, something else to do when you're in Port Vendres. A couple of years, a friend of mine introduced me to someone, and they started, you can see at the bottom there, that this car is one of the oldest French car. It's a Citroën 2C, which means deux chevaux, 2 horse power. And they've got about 30 of them, okay? So you can be a group. Christy, the group who is going to do the milestone will do this, okay? Yes. And you can only be 2 or 3 in the car. And of course, the roof touches your head, or your head touches the roof. And you go all along the coast. Oh. And you tell your driver, stop here, look at this little shop, or stop there, I want to buy some pottery. And you just spend your day doing this if you want as a group, or you just rent a car and you do it yourself. But I think it's a lot of fun to do it as a group. And, you know, you get very thirsty. Yes. So you have to have some rosé. You are entering the land of the rosé.
This is me written all over it. This is right up my alley.
Rosé de Provence. So we're going to go see Claire, because I love Claire. She's very French, she's very bubbly, and she's very cute, and everybody loves Claire. And Claire Mayol owns the domaine Claire Mayol, which is one of many domains making rosés there. But she is so cute. If you're a rosé fan, you go to the domaine de Claire and you tell her, Claude sends us here, and he said, you are giving us rosé complimentary, and she'll kill me. But anyway, this is my advice for you to go to. I forgot to tell you in the second paragraph, taking a walk basically along the coastal path. It's called Le Sentier du Littoral. It's about a walk. It's a walkway all along the coastline that's about that big, okay? And if you fall, you're in big trouble, because you fall down the rocks into the water. It's very unsafe, yet the view you have from hiking there. So bring your tennis shoes or something and just hike all along the Sentier du Littoral. It's a coast little pathway. It's not even a road. So these are the things to do in Port Vendres area. Sète. Okay. Some of you may know Sète. We like to call it the Venice of south of France because I don't know how it happened. We probably copied the Italian this time around. It's full of canals, as you can see the picture on the right side. So you rent a boat, a rowboat. Okay, there aren't gondolas there like in Venice, but they're rowboats, and you just see the best part of town renting this rowboat and going up and down the canal, especially during the summer when there's summer festivals going on. Sète is one of these typical small south of France seaport, and you have to go to Sète. This is where Azamara takes you once more, those very small, authentic port. Outdoor fan will go crazy for the sea kayaking trip through the canal as well. So you can do the kayak. I tried to give you on the picture a view of some rowing boat and two kayak there. Kayaking on the canal of Sète. Wow. Why not? Now, something interesting that they do in Sète is a gourmet walking tour. A lady said, you know what? We're going to go from market to market to market and eat peaches and beautiful melons from the area and figs and this and that and prosciutto. So this lady said, I'm going to make you walk from market to market so you can burn your calories from what you've just eaten going to the next market, okay? And if you don't walk back with her, she'll get very upset because it's all about discovering the market, but walking it. She wants you to walk it. Yeah, she'll be very upset, but too bad. C'est la vie, as I said, okay? Right. So this is the thing to do in Sète. Now, fairly new. I would like you to look at the top pictures, okay? My sister goes there. Well, not anymore. She's now older. She doesn't want to take the trip, but she went there for many, many years. There is a restaurant there, okay, called La Coquerie. I can't even translate this other than the first three letters are for the rooster, le coq, so I'm sure it's related. And it's my sister went there for years, our favorite restaurant because of the view. And it's not all that well known, or maybe it is now, but the food is prepared by a 3-star Michelin chef, Anne Marjorel. So I told my sister from Brittany, I said, you go there. You go all the way to south of France to have a lunch at La Coquerie for the view. And she admitted to me, she said, well, I also go because the waiters are young and cute and they have a little attitude and they're slightly rebel. And I'm like, oh, but that sounds just like French people.
It does, it's wonderful.
But anyway, you have to go to La Coquerie. This is my advice while you're in Sète, overlooking the Bay of Sète. Absolutely stunning. And we have a picture bottom left of Anne and her hat.
Yes.
So we are now entering the true French Riviera, or let's call it the Mediterranean part of France. Marseille is definitely a larger seaport in France, huge seaport. It's naval, military, and the history of Marseille is just unbelievable. Centuries of fighting with Northern Africa and Spain and Italy. Marseille has stood the time. It is very well known for its amazing Notre Dame de la Garde, which is like, it's even bigger than Notre Dame of Paris. And the architecture, one would think is very French, being from south of France, but it's really not. It's a mix of Italian, Arab invasions. People invaded the area and added some mosque
Yeah.
rooftop, which were changed again later. So it's a beautiful citadel overlooking the port of Marseille. Much to do in Marseille. But again, what I'm saying here at the bottom of the slide, it may not be in travel guide, but if some of you know their history,
Yes.
the Chateau d'If is where
Yes.
the Comte de Monte Cristo
Monte
was.
Cristo.
Yes, and you can go there. You take a little
Wow.
ferry and you walk. It's like walking the space of the Statue of Liberty, except you walk the castle and you're like, Comte de Monte Cristo, Chateau d'If. You can make, a day out of it if you want. There's not much to see after a couple of hours. Make
Right.
sure you go in the cell where he was imprisoned.
Yes.
Anyway, this is something fun to do. Of course, big soccer players, big soccer team in Marseille. Definitely not my favorite. They're too arrogant and full of themselves. But again, who isn't like that in France? It is a special joie de vivre in Marseille. There's a very old area with cobblestone street called Le Panier. Okay, it's been around forever. And you walk around, it feels like you're in a provincial village. The Marseille area is known for the calanques, okay? And they're basically small, well, the picture's on the right, and it described it all. You can only access it by boat or maybe walking down the rocks, but it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And they are the calanques de Marseille, the very well-known calanques de Marseille. Turquoise water. You can try to hike the cliff and go down there. I would not advise that. So I know it's a tease because I'm telling you, it's just amazing. It's like Caribbean water. You can only go by boat. Oh, you know what? We have Christy who will arrange the boat
I
rental.
can arrange the boat. It's true. I was in Marseille once. I was part of another cruise just for the day, and I happened to be there while their soccer team, their football team, was playing in a tournament, and the entire city was absolutely riveted to every television screen in every cafe.
Yes.
It erupted every so often. So no matter what I was doing, I knew that they were doing well in the game.
Or maybe they couldn't keep up anymore. They've been drinking too much rosé.
That's possible.
No, but Marseille, people are hot-blooded in Marseille, big time. Anybody from the south, Latino or south of France, it's a wonderful city. Going back to two small seaports where Azamara will take you, Sanary, my favorite, and Toulon. Toulon is beautiful, but there's a military side of it again, and it's lovely, but not as amazing as Sanary. Those places you just chill, you just walk the street, the church, a typical European experience. You go to the Grand Market, the Samary-sur-Mer, which is a local flea market. American Express Visa will not be accepted, cash only. And it's every Saturday, I believe, you have to go to this local flea market. Everything is there. You will, I guarantee you, bring back treasures from there.
Yes.
A little sculpture, a little enamel box, a little something from nearby castle. You have to go there. The Maritime Museum in Toulon, the Maritime Museum.
Best things to bring home from a trip is from a local market like that instead
Yes,
of
little treasures, right?
Mhm.
Just bring your euros.
Yes, just bring your cash.
You can always try the Maritime Museum in Toulon. For history buff, maybe. I don't know. I'm not into that. But I had to put it down because it's one of the main attractions, and it is interesting, of something to do in Toulon. Aha, now we're talking. This is the Saint Barth, this is the Malibu, this is the 57th Street of south of France, the biggest jet set seaport in Europe. And you know what? It's always been this way since the 50s. And who made it famous? Who's this lady there? A little bit daring, but the famous Brigitte Bardot. Yes, she made it famous just because she went to the beach not wearing much, but we won't go into that. Okay, so I like to call it Eurotrash meets glamour. You have the Italian, the Spaniard, the Parisian. What a scene. I was there in August a couple of years ago. Worst time of the year, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, not August, right? Too many
Go in
crowds.
May or go in October. By the way, Azamara stays in Europe the longest of any cruise line. Most cruise lines leave Europe at the end of the season to rush to the Caribbean. We don't do the Caribbeans. We are not snob, but we feel there is not much to do with the DNA that we are of feeding our clients with tons of things to do, history and all. So we're not really big on the Caribbean. So what do? We stay in Europe the latest in the season, sometimes through early November.
Yes.
So check out your voyages to go after season to Croatia, France, Italy. Yeah, so back to Saint-Tropez. Who doesn't know Saint-Tropez? All the stars are there. I named a few because those are well known. Elton John, Bruce Willis. They spend a month there. They rent a place, and there is on the seaport a legendary place that you see there at the bottom right called Sénéquier. And I don't know the meaning of the word. Maybe it was Monsieur Sénéquier who opened it, but it started in the 50s and all the movie stars. It really was the only place in town. It's a little bit like Positano and, the Italian coastline. You have one or two little cafe. This is still today the place to be seen, the place to see. And you have, singers and rappers and you name it, they're all there. My advice is to leave all this Euro trash scene behind you. You rent a car, and again, you drive along the scenic road. Now, I'm laughing here, but you have to rent a Maserati or Lamborghini. Don't go with a Ford. Don't go with the little car that I showed you before with two people in.
Fiat. Yeah, no, this is not for that.
You rent the car, make sure you bring your Rolex, even if it's a fake one, because you see the pressure is on. You have to be in.
You have to play the part.
So you rent a car. You're not going to meet Brigitte Bardot. She's too old. She may be dead. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Doesn't look like that anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you rent a car and you go to Pamplona Beach and you have lunch there. There's restaurant right there on the sand. And this is when you go. My advice is you let the tourists go, okay? Tons of tourists, because they have to see this well-known seaport with helicopter pad landing and these big houses. And I'm not even sure how to compare it to, in America, maybe Miami Star Island, something like that. One place where you must go for lunch, other than Sénéquier, is La Voile. La Voile's been around for about 8 years, and this is where you meet the editor-in-chief of Vogue, Anna Wintour. She brings models and she brings her clients, and she rents a yacht there during the winter. I'm telling you, it's a scene. So don't be part of it, or maybe you do. Go in town after 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, midnight, and then you enjoy the quieter piece of the seaport. Don't go there in July and August. Right. As I said, go in the spring or after season with Azamara, of course. And here we are strolling along the French Riviera to the most well-known town in south of France. It's the third most visited city after Paris and Lyon. It's not Bordeaux, it's not Brittany, it's Nice. Also known to American as Nice. Delta Airline has a nonstop from New York 3 or 4 days a week. So there's a lot of traffic in Nice. It's not small. It's not a big city. It's a mid-sized city. It's wonderful. It's been obviously around for the longest time. It belonged to the Italian at one point. And of course, as you can see on the top picture, the famous 3-mile-long Promenade des Anglais is quite a workout. People are jogging there. You would think you're in Miami or Malibu Beach in LA. People are running and working out. And oh yeah, I wrote it down. The Venice Beach of the Riviera, but without the iron pumping men. Or
Oh, wow.
by now, maybe they're there. We don't want to see them.
No, no, no. It sounds like Copacabana, even in Rio.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I've been to Nice so many times, and to this day, one of the most wonderful things to do is to go very early in the central square of Nice to go see Le Marché aux Fleurs, the flower deli market. It's literally every single day between like Memorial Day, end of May, through the end of the season. And the reason I'm telling you to go early is that you see truck drivers with a lot of pride. They've got the best roses and they've got the best tulips. And my geranium are much better looking than yours. There's all this competition and pride, and the smell, and all of a sudden that square becomes filled with thousands of flowers. This is where restaurateurs come. This is where, catering companies for special event come to buy their flowers. To me, it's a very special time early in the morning. The Vieux Nice is the old part of Nice. On the right side, colorful houses, very much with an Italian influence. Oh, I see Le Chat Noir, Christy.
Yes, Joey.
Joey Le Chat Noir.
Yes, that's my little black cat. Making an appearance. He couldn't stay away for long.
Very cute. So Nice is a must. Right outside of Nice is plenty to do. You've got the most amazing Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, which is the Newport, Rhode Island of France. It's right along the coast with amazing mansion. You have to remember, Nice was a very blue-collar city in the early time when it was built, and people were building this clay stone to put on top of the roof. Mm-hmm. So people said, early on, now of course it's very in to go to Nice, but early on people said, I'm not going to Nice. I don't want to be mixed with these people. I'm going to go to Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat. And they all built amazing mansion. Americans were all over this part of the world. And so I wrote down here, you have the pink villa of the Rothschild. You have the Greek villa Kerylos that Rock Hudson rented for over a decade. You have designers and well-known people renting this mansion. Saint-Paul-de-Vence is a spectacular little village on the hill of Nice. You have to go there. There is a super well-known restaurant that's been around for, I think, since the 70s called La Colombe d'Or. And everybody has to go to La Colombe d'Or. Yeah. It's got Picasso and Miro, but it's a very down-to-earth, in a beautiful stone house that you can see. The two bottom pictures are of La Colombe d'Or. You've had presidents of many countries going there, influencers. Taking a client to La Colombe d'Or was a big deal. And of course, it took 6 months to get in. This is one of the smallest restaurant there is. I believe it has less than 20 tables.
Oh my gosh.
So as we say in English, get in line.
Yes.
But of course, Christy will get you in. Oh, Christy, I'm getting you in trouble tonight.
It's all good, man. This is the stuff I love to do for my clients. All these wonderful little things. So I'm all over it.
Very well. So anyway, Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, Saint-Paul-de-Vence, stay in your car, rent a car in the morning. As you know, we stay a long day in port through the night. You rent your car in the morning and you drive all along the coastal road. It's absolutely superb. And then, of course, we get to a pretty flashy place called Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo, there's nothing really simple about Monte Carlo. I shouldn't say that. Outside of the city, there may be. If you think Saint-Tropez was flashy, Monte Carlo is a whole other level, especially around the Grand Prix.
Right.
The Monaco Grand Prix, every year, as you can see from the bottom right pictures, yachts from all over the world, Saudi Arabia, South America, they cross big bodies of water to come to Monte Carlo and have super production and sponsors. It is a big deal for 3 days. The town is crazy. There is more energy in that town for 3 days. There's enough energy that you could lit up New York City with the electricity. And Azamara goes right into the port of Monaco. You have, of course, your jewelry shop and sport car dealership and all that. I would say don't do any of that unless you go there for the Grand Prix, which, by the way, Azamara does. We have an Azamara Grand Prix. If you're a car fanatic, you must go, okay? Every year, it's the last weekend eve in May, and Azamara has a Grand Prix voyage. What you do is rent a car once more. You leave the port to the caviar eaters and rent a convertible to drive along the coastline. It's called the Corniche. It is unfortunately where Princess Grace Kelly lost her life. I've put a picture of her there with
Yes, Cary Grant.
Cary Grant. Many movies have been shot there in that part of south of France. Go to small, authentic, small villages. Go to an abbey at the bottom of lavender, fresh lavender field that will open their door, bring your sandwiches. This is an abbey. This is not a restaurant. So I had my backpack, a bottle of water, believe it or not wine, water, a sandwich, and you literally, I'm not kidding, you sit in the field of lavender, make sure the bees don't sting you, and you have your lunch there. So this is what you should do in the area of Monte Carlo, if I may say.
Sounds
Plenty of small villages, and I believe Monte Carlo is our last stop. I'm going to advise about 2 voyages we have going on in 2022. If you are more inclined to do the first part of this presentation, which is Normandy, Brittany, Nantes, Bordeaux, this is the place, this is the voyage to take. June 11, 2022, you have plenty of time. It's 9 nights, okay? So you can arrive a little before into Bordeaux to see the town, and then you debark in Amsterdam. So basically, and you have Bruges in Belgium. So you do 3 countries in 9 nights. That's pretty nice. The other one I advise is the one that I just described in the south of France. You leave from Barcelona to Genoa, Italy. You do 3 countries as well. You can spend 2 days in Barcelona prior leaving, and then you stay in Italy after the trip, and you go through Sète. We went through that. Saint-Tropez, Cannes, Nice, Port-Vendres, Marseille. So this is July 30th, 2022. You have plenty of time. This is a shorter one, 7 nights. I know in America, you don't have 6 weeks like we do in Europe. So time is of the essence. This is a shorter one. I really, really like this one. And so these are the 2 voyages. I would advise you to call Christy on and say, we're going. I am done.
I'd like to go along with them.
I'm coming.
I'm coming. That was amazing.
I'm done.
How can see you are so the man to do this? I had no doubt. I had no doubt you were just the man to show us all about France. That was wonderful, and I particularly loved all those great little kind of insider tips. I even wrote down a few. I have a client who is a car nut. I don't know how best to describe him.
Here we go. Grand Prix.
With him that detail about the Grand Prix trip.
But you know what? Make sure you don't advise him or her to ride in those little French cars that TV.
He loves not Maseratis, the other Italian.
Martin.
It's an Italian car. Yes, Aston Martin. Yeah,
Lamborghini.
Yeah, he's. I can't keep up with him, and I love to drive.
Well, there we go.
Wow, that was Fantastic. Hey,
So I should leave you,
let me
Christy.
ask
I'm
you a
going to
few more
leave you.
questions. Yeah, stick around. I just want to ask you a couple more questions, if I can. I know that, we kind of threw a lot of great information about trips at everybody today, and that's awesome. But I do want to make sure everybody understands the value of working with a travel agent, and there are many reasons to do so. And some of the most important things are not just about tapping into my expertise, but it's also about my advocacy. And I think that's a really important thing to know, especially after a year like we've just had. Whether it's a 2020 or not, um, as a cornerstone, a true cornerstone to what I do for my clients is I'm your advocate. So from the moment we first start having that conversation about maybe I want to go on a vacation to the day you get home from your trip, I am there for you as your advocate to make sure you get everything you want the best way you can get it. And like I said, I want you to have a stress-free experience. I'll deal with all the little nuances, make sure that you've got, the car picking you up from the airport all the way to helping you book a really spectacular dinner reservation. We do all sorts of things. Of course, I'm always keeping my eyes peeled for deals and discounts. And that's what I wanted to ask you about, because I know Azamara's got some special stuff going on at the moment.
Yes, we do. Are you going to talk about it or me?
Yeah, I know you can talk about it. You sound better
we,
talking about it.
we have a special offer, Christy, and everyone out there. We have a special offer that's valid through March 31st. So no pressure intended. But on some selected voyages, we are offering up to 40% discount through voyages into 2022. I should have done my homework. I apologize. I am not sure those French voyages I suggested are on that list, but there's basically 88 voyages where you can get either 20, 30, or 40% off. So it is your time to book one of those
Yes.
and get a very steep discount. It doesn't have to be France, but
Right.
yes.
Yeah,
So
I remember.
it's
I
going
remember you
on.
telling me that earlier today, but I didn't. I wasn't swift enough to put a slide in my deck tonight.
Okay. Yeah,
I
I
thought
should
of
have
it,
done
and
that as
then
well.
life happens. But I do want to encourage everybody, to reach out to me, whether you are thinking about travel in the now for this late this year or even next year. Now's the time to start really thinking about what that might look like and to work with a travel agent. And just by virtue of the fact that you have registered for tonight's event, I am also offering a booking incentive. So if you are interested in booking a vacation through me between now and the end of March, I will offer you up to a $250 discount from my agency. And that is combinable with whatever offers that Azamara has in the marketplace, which is great. So you can kind of, stack the benefits that are happening right now. And honestly, now is a really, I know it seems kind of counterintuitive in some ways, like because of what's going on in the world right now, you're not going to travel right now, really. But it is the good time to book travel. It's kind of a buyer's market, right? Because there are great promotions that are happening right now. And also many of the cruise lines and other tour companies, whether they're resorts or tour, like motor coach tour companies, a lot of them are having these great, and Azamara is too, very flexible booking, book with confidence policies. These are really wonderful because of the nature of what's going on right now. Different companies have different arrangements, but they are offering decreased deposits or refundable deposits. Final payment is due perhaps closer to the final departure date than is typically true. And because of that, you can kind of take the leap as far as planning a vacation and even depositing it, but knowing that you've got the keys in your own hands as far as making a decision when the time comes. Are you confident to still take the trip? And that's really important. So those things don't happen every day. That's not a normal thing. That is kind of a repercussion of what's happening in the world right now. So what I encourage all of you to do is to stay in touch with me. I do encourage you to go up to my website, escapeartistholidays.com, where you can see this graphic. We are giving away $5,000 worth of vacation You can use it on any kind of vacation. We'll be drawing a name in April. So the contest is just started. You've got to be in it to win it. So sign up. You can always follow me on social media. Of course, I'm kind of all over the place, so to speak. And, and if you enjoyed tonight's presentation, I hope you look up on this link down here, this We Will Travel Again's events. This is a listing of the upcoming events that we have, but you'll also find a link to our past recordings. And I can give you an idea of what's coming up, because it is going to be hard to top tonight's trip to France, I have to tell you. No, seriously. But next week, you're going to get a run for your money, Claude. It's Egypt. We're going up the Nile with Alma Waterways River Cruises. That's one of my, I've always wanted to go there since I was a kid kind of places. So we've got all sorts of things. They're not all international destinations. We've also got some domestic US destinations that we cover. So there's lots of things to keep your interest about travel, keep your enthusiasm about travel on the forefront. And I encourage you to reach out to me. Like I said, we can start just having the conversation, just kicking around the idea. If you have any questions, now's your last chance to pop them in the chat. Otherwise, I do encourage you to connect with me. If you aren't already part of my distribution list, you will now get an email from me once a week about what's coming up and what's going on. So I hope I get to hear from you. Claude, I want to thank you so much for tonight. It was wonderful.
Merci for your time and attention.
Ooh,
Vive la France. Vive la différence.
I have one too. Look at that.
Yeah. We wait for you in France.
Someday soon, my friend.
Unless you come and visit me in Connecticut first.
I think we might have to meet at a French restaurant in between.
Au revoir.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Stay healthy. Be safe. I'll see you next time. Thanks, Claude.
Good night.
Good night.
Au revoir.